Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be going over 5 available free agents that I think the Washington Commanders should go ahead and sign. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. I'm on the road to 7,500 subscribers, so please help me get there. Also, hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any videos, especially those free agent signings that come out real quick. Also, go ahead and follow my Twitter. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on there. Now, let's get right into the video. So far during free agency, the Washington Commanders, in terms of signing outside free agents, have been pretty quiet. They have only signed one outside free agent, and that is guard Andrew Norwell. They signed him to a 2-year, $10 million deal. Right now, the Washington Commanders currently have about $16.8 million in cap space, but that is not counting Cam Sims and Andrew Norwell's deal, so it'll probably be closer to $10 million. If you want a complete breakdown of our cap space, a breakdown of each individual deal that we've signed, go ahead and watch my video from yesterday. I kind of broke that down, but we still have some money to spend on free agents, and we're going to get even more money once that, Landon Collins deal, cut gets official on June 1st. We get an additional almost $12 million. So we still have some moves that we're able to make to improve this team, because we do still have holes at the middle linebacker position. Maybe an upgrade at free safety, although we did re-sign Bob McCain, so maybe they don't view it that way. We have depth questions at, maybe offensive line, definitely at D-line, and then we still need another weapon on offense, in my opinion, at the receiver position, and maybe some more depth at some other positions. So we're going to go over 5 free agents that I think the Washington Commanders should sign. Hopefully none of these guys get signed right when I'm making the video, but the first guy who's on the top of my list, even when free agency started, is linebacker Alexander Johnson. And I know he usually plays in a 3-4, but I do think he can play in a 4-3, and he's a really good inside linebacker option for the Washington Commanders. Isn't going to demand a huge price. He's probably going to be in that $5 to $7 million range, and I think he would be a really good option for the Washington Commanders. He's a really, really good run stuffer. He's okay in coverage, and he does not miss many tackles at all, and he can be your starting middle linebacker for a year or two while you develop another linebacker behind him. So you could sign Alexander Johnson to start this year and draft a guy or two in the middle rounds, so like the 2nd, maybe the 4th, around then, then to help develop them. But if you have Alexander Johnson, you'll have a solid starter. His advanced numbers were very, very good in 2021. He only played 6 games, did have an injury that cost him the rest of the season, but in a small sample size, allowed a 38.9% completion percentage, so very good right there, and a 69.7 passer rating, which is great. And then you look at his missed tackling percentage, 0%, so did not miss any tackles through 6 games. And the years before was really good too, 5 and 8% as well. Anything under 10% is pretty good. And he's 30 years old right now, but every year he's kind of improved. You look at that completion percentage in 2019 to 2020 to 2021, and that's a very high completion percentage, 81. But then you look at the pass rating allowed, and it's not even that high. 80 is actually below average. Pass ratings are around 90, so having that's like the average, 90, 95. So having it at 80 is pretty good. The next year, 88.7, but a little bit of a lower completion percentage. So he is not terrible in coverage, and he is coming off a big injury, but I still would be really, really happy if we sign him in free agency. He's my number 1 realistic free agent target left, and he was honestly my number 1 going into free agency as well. So I'd really like if the Washington Commanders could go ahead and sign him. It won't be that expensive. Next one, this will be quick, but Bobby McCann obviously or Bobby Wagner, have to throw his name out there. I would love for Washington to sign him. He's still one of the better linebackers in the NFL. You can sign him for like a 1-year, 2-year deal. And yeah, he would be an immediate impact player for our defense. He would really complete our defense besides some depth pieces that we would need on the D-line. He would really take our defense to the next level, but a few reasons why I don't think it'll happen. One, Bobby Wagner probably wants to go to a contender right away, and we aren't necessarily that. He also is going to demand or command a lot of money, and we could give him a big contract, but our front office is not extremely creative in terms of creating cap space like some other teams are, so I don't think they will. But I would love Bobby Wagner. If we could sign him, I would definitely do it, but I don't think they will, and I don't think he'll sign here anyways. But he still is a really good linebacker, and you look at someone like London Fletcher, who signed to Washington when he was like 31, 32, similar to what Bobby Wagner is doing right now, and he was really good for us. So another player I think we should target, and this is a position kind of that I think we could use some depth at, is tight end, and the player is Gerald Everett. I do think tight end is somewhat a position in need. We lost Ricky Seals-Jones, which isn't a huge loss at all, but it's just a loss in terms of our depth. So I think adding someone in free agency would not be a bad idea, or you could go through the draft. I really like John Bates. I think he's an amazing blocker already, and he's developing as a pass catcher, but they don't know. I don't know when Logan Thomas is coming back. If they feel like he's going to be 100%, in training camp or a little bit after that, then okay, whatever. You don't need to draft anyone. You don't need to sign anyone. But I don't know if that's going to be the case, and I don't think that's going to be the case. He might be ready for the start of the season, but he might not be 100%. And if he isn't ready for the season, like, I love John Bates, but I don't want him to be my starting tight end yet. And it'll be John Bates and Sammis Reyes. You need some depth there. So getting someone like Gerald Everett, who is a pretty good pass catcher, not sure about his blocking, but like if Logan Thomas is out, you have a good pass catcher in Gerald Everett and a really good blocker in John Bates, who's an okay pass catcher. Like, that's a pretty good combination in my opinion. And I would definitely, and I heard, there was rumors last year from like John Keim and others that we were interested in signing Gerald Everett. So signing him would be a good option. Gonna be pretty cheap in my opinion. Gonna be pretty cheap. You look at his stats the last couple of years, pretty good. This past season with the Seahawks, 478 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 catches. 2020, similar stats, and every year he's improved. That's a big thing with him. Every single year he's improved. 250 to 320 to 400 to 417 to 480. Every single year he's improved. So you add him to this. Yeah, you add him to the team, and you got a pretty good trio in Logan Thomas, John Bates, and Gerald Everett, and you can get him for relatively cheap. And yeah, he's kind of a hybrid between a receiver and tight end, but you see this right here. They use him as they give him some touches as a runner as well. Had 3 carries this past year, but Gerald Everett gets some insurance at that tight end position for relatively cheap. I think that would be a pretty good deal. Next player, and again, a position need, DN / interior defensive line. Akeem Hicks can kind of play both edge or interior defensive line, and he's still a pretty solid player. This past season played 9 games, 3.5 sacks. So, if he played all 17, he would be around 6-7 sacks. The year before, 3.5. He's a good run stuffer, and he can get to the QB as well. So, he would be a guy that I would not mind to sign to a 1-year deal. Has that like position flex where he can play inside or outside. And yeah, I think we need help at both of those spots, especially inside now that we really have no depth there right now. We have James Smith-Williams who can play inside and outside, but we need another guy. We need another guy on the inside, so it could be Star Lutulelli, who the Bills just, released, who played for the Panthers for a while. But I don't know. I really do think, though, that we need to add to the position. There are some guys available. I'm not sure what is up with Akeem Hicks, if he was a free agent or if the Bears released him, because, again, comp picks are a factor here when signing players. If you sign a player who is released by a team, then it doesn't affect your comp picks for next year. But if you sign a player that is in free agency, that does affect your, compensatory picks for the next year. So that is just something to keep in mind. I believe Andrew Norwell, our signing with him did not affect our compensatory picks for next year. So that is definitely good for sure. But somewhat on the interior or on the edge would be good. Like, another guy I like is Carlos Dunlap. He had 8.5 sacks this past year. He's going to be more expensive, and I don't know if he wants to play as a backup, but he would be another guy, a veteran in the room, able to help these, Chase Young and Montez Sweat, with some pass rush moves and, their approach and everything. Next guy, this is another low-key guy, but it is Zach Pascal, who played for the Indianapolis Colts, and we desperately need another offensive weapon, and he isn't necessarily that. He's not going to be a game changer, very likely not going to be a game changer for the Washington Commanders, but he is a solid veteran receiver. You can probably get him for close to, the minimum, or like $1 to $3 million. He had 384 yards this past year, 3 touchdowns, and then the year before 600, the year before 600. So a little bit of a down year. Not sure if that has anything to do with Carson Wentz or not. But, with, their chemistry, if their chemistry isn't good, then if they're going to know that. Washington's going to know that, and they won't sign him. But if they like each other, if they're close, then I definitely would not be upset with them signing Zach Pascal. But that, in my opinion, if you sign Zach Pascal, that's just another insurance policy. That doesn't mean you don't draft the guy in the first round if you don't want to, or in the second round as well. But I do think they need to add to the receiver position, and adding a veteran just as an insurance policy, kind of similar to what they did with Adam Humphries last year, wouldn't be a bad bet. And this would be really similar because Adam Humphries was signed last year because of Ryan Fitzpatrick. They had some familiarity, and then you add Carson Wentz, or you add Zach Pascal, who has some familiarity with Zach Pascal. So they both have played together just for a year, but still they have familiarity. So I would not mind this signing at all. But yeah, that is going to be do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about what players you want the Washington Commanders to go ahead and sign, and let me know if you guys agree with my picks. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. Also, go ahead and check my stream out that I did with Nati from DMV Sports Zone and Street Scores on DMV Sports Zone's channel. It was a blast. Peace, guys.